3, 2, 1. Okay. Hello. Hello, everybody. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. I've done this streaming thing once before, but I'm pretty new. So hopefully everybody can hear me. Hopefully we can see the screen.
Yeah. I can see it on my end.
Looking good on your end, Hashi?
Yeah, it's looking good.
Hoping for somebody in the chat. There's PJ. What's up, PJ?
Alright, yeah. Stream is up. That's good.
Okay, well, we'll chill out for a bit to give people the opportunity to sort of show up or whatever. Maybe I can answer some questions if people want to talk about something. And then we're going to be reacting to a video by a certain Gamza who has attempted to kind of indirectly respond to me with a video that's unfortunately not very good, but we'll watch it and you'll see what we think about it. So I'm here with Hashi, who is
Hello.
He's like my big 40k Games Workshop guy. He I suppose we probably know about the same about 40k, right? But you definitely know a lot more about fantasy than me and Age of Sigmar. He helped me with the Emperor video and with my Warp video. So that's why he's here right now.
Yeah.
With his little dude picture in the thumbnail. Who is that? Is that Eldred or?
It's just an Eldar Farseer. I thought it would look cool.
Oh, okay. It does look good.
Yeah, I want a commission slot on Twitter. So.
Big Smoke 2000. Hey, I'm not sure who you are, but hello.
Hello, Moonlight. BG said, "What's up, Birdman?" I coined that term, Birdman. I expect my royalties in the mail, PJ.
PJ's allowed to do whatever he wants. Yeah, Hashi also goes... I know him as Hashi, but you also go by Dante and Alfarius Omegon, right?
Yeah.
On Twitter. How did Pralia get defeated by the green if Pralia is greater than... Okay, who's greater than the green? I don't think Pralia was defeated. It was like an avatar of Pralia was put back to sleep because the multiverse existed again. And it wasn't the green, it was the world tree or whatever, which is beyond the green. In that same comic, it's there to be beyond the green, at least. Will there be more juicy Skyrim content? I plan on doing a video specifically on The Last Dragonborn in the future. Kind of like similar to the Emperor one, you know, just like all the stuff he can do and like the entailments of his scaling to the cosmology and stuff like that. That's the idea. Anyway. I think we'll give it until 5 past and then we'll put on the video.
Yeah.
We'll
you have like 14 days before it's Skyrim's 10-year anniversary. You crank it out.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I dropped 11/11, and then originally 2011, but we've had like 5 releases of Skyrim, so.
Right. Have I seen the new Dune movie? I haven't seen the new one. I've seen the David Lynch one, and I've also obviously read the books as well, but I haven't watched the new one yet. Any versus battles between 40k and Elder Scrolls? Maybe. Maybe. It'd be very complicated, but so I might not. But yeah.
I think there are a few you could do that wouldn't be that hard.
When I say Alduin eats everything, does that include Sithis? It includes the Orbis. Half of the Orbis is made of half of Sithis. So that's a weird question. Half of him, I guess. Yeah. There's probably a lot more to say about that. I don't know. I don't have time. We're gonna start with the reacting now. Okay. And you can see this, right, Hashi?
Yeah, I can see the stream.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see the pause thumbnail and the Dawn of War footage there.
I'm going to apologize ahead of time for what Gamza sounds like. It's out of my control, you know. We're just reacting to the video. Okay, here we go.
Hello there, everybody. Welcome to this video. So I've got one to ruffle your feathers, and that is how powerful is the Emperor of Mankind. You see, because there's a lot of misinformation out there about Warhammer 40k, where people like to read random psychic powers from a codex and just randomly apply it to the Emperor, and somehow this is supposed to...
You can't hear it at all?
No, I can't, no.
Oh my god. Could you hear it earlier?
Yeah, I could. That was really weird.
Have you got the Discord stream turned up to full?
Yeah, I do.
Can people on the stream hear it?
Yeah, the stream can hear it. I can hear it through the stream. Weird. Really weird. What's screening up?
Alright, technical difficulties.
Yeah, it was bound to happen at some point.
How come you could hear it earlier? Why can't you hear it now?
Yeah, I don't know why I can't hear it now. No, are you sure you're sharing the... Wait, yeah, you are sharing the right screen. I'm being dumb.
Let me... I'll turn it on and turn it off and turn it on again.
Yeah, that fixes everything. Alright, it's loading. That's weird. I could hear the ad earlier when you played it, but I couldn't hear it when
I never played an ad, so that's weird. It was just a video.
Oh, I could heard an ad, and I guess I never heard it.
Alright. Trying again. Technical difficulties.
Well,
why, hello there, everybody. Welcome to this video. So I've got one to ruffle your feathers.
Can you hear it now?
That is how powerful is the Emperor of...
I'm gonna keep asking till we get a Dominus video.
I want to do a Dominus video so bad. Like, the only thing that stopped me is that, like, a bunch of new Dominus stuff, like, came out right after I said I wanted to do it. Oh, this was ages ago now. I'm pretty sure it's all done, but, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is all done. Ooh, that's some cursed comments there. I'm not gonna read that one.
What do I think the strongest verse is? I mean, I personally think it's like Umaneko or the Cthulhu Mythos, but, you know, that's a very huge question. Yeah, are my feathers going to be ruffled? Apparently. My feathers are getting ruffled by this damn technical difficulties. It's still not loaded in?
Nah. Try doing it at like a lower quality. For Discord at least.
Yeah. Alright, how about now?
I'm gonna leave the stream and try rejoining it. Yeah, the Discord stream. Oh, that's another cursed comment. What the hell?
I can put the volume on the video up, but it's like very loud for me already.
Yeah, no, it's not the it was the Discord stream. The video sounded fine on the actual stream.
Okay. I don't have time to answer all these questions. If you really want me to answer a question, do a super chat. Although, I mean, I understand why I'm asking, so maybe don't, but you know.
Kingly Logan, Parrot said earlier in the stream that he's planning to do a Dragonborn video.
Yeah.
Sure.
Are you loaded in?
No, I think we might just have to do the stop and start the old-fashioned way.
All right.
Discord.
All right. The old-fashioned way then.
Yeah.
That's gonna be horrible though, because we need to pause it to respond.
It'll work. You'll just have to be the arbiter when we pause.
All right.
I'll leave that on you. All right, Omen. Well, video. F in the chat for what was it, Rabbit? Would have made this so much easier.
I know, right? Or watch together. Though I'm pretty sure they're like all dead now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people got mad that you could watch stuff on them. Right, there it is. Easy uploads a lot.
It's probably because I'm also streaming, so it's like Discord's having trouble.
Yeah, for sure.
Truly an awful way to start a stream, though. I apologize profusely.
Yeah, I'm in the video.
You're in the video? Alright. So we're good? 3,
we're good.
2, 1, go.
Why, hello there, everybody. Welcome to this video. So I've got one to ruffle your feathers, and that is, how powerful is the Emperor of Mankind? You see, because there's a lot of misinformation out there about Warhammer 40k, where people like to read random psychic powers from a codex and just randomly apply it to the Emperor, and somehow this is supposed to mean that he's outerversal, which they...
Alright, pause.
Alright.
Okay, so he's talking about my video, which for some reason... he thinks that I'm only using codexes. The full sources in the video, I want to screenshot it, but like the source list is so big, I can't get the whole thing in the screenshot.
Yeah, there's like 40 something, I think.
Oh no. I'm trying to bring the video up and I'm causing all sorts. Yeah, like it's just too long. There's a massive list of sources. Some of them are codexes.
Yeah.
But you can clearly see like a lot of different sources we used for this video. We read all of them. We went over them very carefully when we were writing the script as well. And I also think it's funny that when he's talking about psychic powers, Gamza doesn't know the difference between an RPG core rulebook and a codex, right? Completely different.
Yeah.
If I'm doing a video on a psyker, what a psyker can do, surely I'm gonna use the book about how psychic powers work. And, you know, what people are like that use those psychic powers from the RPG rulebooks. Like, it seems weird not to do that.
Yeah. And furthermore, it's like, the Emperor, like, has to allow all these powers to go off in the galaxy as well. So, it's really weird to try to even imply that he can't do them.
Yeah, people have to, what is it? They have to make, like, a connection with the Emperor. If they're an Imperial Psyker, they have to go to Terra and make a special connection with the Emperor in order to use any of their psychic powers. And all of the people in these core rulebooks that I'm taking from, like Dark Heresy and Rogue Trader and stuff like this, are Imperial Psykers who can only use their psychic powers because they're connected to the Emperor. So he's allowing all of these powers. There's no way he can't use them, but there are lots of other reasons why he should be able to use them anyway. And also, this has nothing to do with him being outerversal. So Gamza just doesn't understand the point of the video. I don't know if he wasn't paying attention. This is like overly too much of a response to this already, so we'll go back. All right, you good? 3, 2, 1, go.
You don't even know what these abilities mean to begin with because it's a list of non sequiturs. What is a non sequitur? It's something that does not logically follow. So first and foremost,
so Gamza doesn't know what a non sequitur is.
Let's actually take a look at what outerversal actually means. Outerverse is a term used to describe a location or structure that is unbound by the idea of dimensions and space-time. Originally coined by the Versus Battle Wiki, such term is used in place to describe locations or beings that are conceptually different from the idea of dimensions, space and time. Entities who exist in an outerverse are usually metaphysical and utterly formless in relation to any number of higher dimensions. Alright, now let us scroll down just a little bit more and it says a scale to outerversal existence. Baseline, characters who are simply beyond the concept of space and time, along with dimensions. These characters do meet the requirements of outerversal status. However, within their own tier, they are considered weaker due to having simplistic superiority to dimensions. Baseline outerversal entities would be considered 1 if outerversal were to have a definitive number scale. Now, this is super basic. All it is telling you is that if there...
So... this is really funny. So, firstly, pretty cringe to be reading from Versus Battle Wiki, right? I was around when these rules were written, by the way. I helped write these rules on Versus Battle Wiki, but Gamza doesn't know that. So, that's the first funny thing. The second thing is that he continues to read this last line about baseline outerversal entities would be considered 1 if outerversal were to have a definitive number scale. And this, what they're about to start talking about is characters beyond that. But why does he read this half sentence? What does that have to do with what he wants to talk about? Nothing. It doesn't have anything to do with that.
it's also fun that he tries to pretend outerversal comes from versus battles, like it's some like made up thing. Like at the end of the day, like any tier will give a character is just shorthand for how we would describe them.
I personally wouldn't use this definition anymore, but you know, it's okay, I guess. I'm not sure what time has to do with it. Like the whole point of this term is to describe structures and characters that go beyond like a dimensional scope, right? And that doesn't really have anything to do with time. You could still have time and not have like a geometric structure, like a physical, spatial structure. Thanks for the super chat, PJ.
Yeah, I also think it's funny that he brings it up like it's like this grand debunk, as if we didn't make another video with like at least like 12 statements of the warp being outer or anything like that.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. What was it actually, like 23, I think, in the end? Something like that.
Yeah,
it was a lot.
If you include like the trans dual stuff, there's way more,
Yeah. All right. Let's continue. Remember here that he said the concepts of space and time, right? Yeah. This is important because he's going to make an argument later that doesn't make any sense. All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Is that if there is a scale to say what is an outerversal existence, the very baseline is being beyond space, time, and dimensions.
No,
we don't even
the concepts of dimensions and time.
This right here already supersedes.
You just read it out, Gamza. How do you not remember?
He operates within time. He is not beyond it. Otherwise, he wouldn't be crippled in a chair because he could operate outside the timeline to which he was crippled.
Yep.
Okay. So now he's talking about the physical emperor, which, yes, 100% true, that the physical emperor, like his physical body, is not outerversal. But his soul is. The warp emperor is. That's what I specifically outlined in the video. Just after the speed section, I talk about this. When we say he's outerversal, we're talking about the emperor that's fighting with chaos, not the guy like running around on planets and stuff, which is just like his physical form. This is like saying that because demons project like a version of themselves down like into the universe, that, you know, they can get killed by lasers and stuff.
To be clear, they don't actually get killed, they get like banished.
Yeah.
Like a better term. Ooh, that's a super chat.
Rockin' Alice says, will you do a Wonder Woman video like your Superman ones, or any other members of the Justice League like Martian Manhunter? Love your videos, can't wait for more. Yeah, I would especially like to do a Martian Manhunter video. I might do a Wonder Woman video at some point, but I haven't read a lot of Wonder Woman, so I would have to do a lot of research for that. I've read more Martian Manhunter stuff, so I would like to do that in the future. And he's probably one of my favorite characters too, so...
I mean, those Chacos are pretty good.
Yeah. Alright, we'll continue here. 3, 2, 1, go.
And it gets even worse than this because he has to be outside of space, which essentially means he would be beyond the physical, beyond matter. Because if you are beyond space, then you are beyond matter. Because matter requires space. And guess what? Last time I checked, once again, the Emperor is in a chair, crippled, because his body is susceptible
to the Emperor's soul in a chair?
Occupies. So from the very get-go, this means that the Emperor doesn't even meet the baseline of what an outerversal existence would be. He is not beyond space, and he's not beyond time. Now, there is
but
no
his soul
reason to go
is
further than this because the Emperor doesn't even meet the baseline. However, I will scroll down a little bit further and we will look into the powers and abilities just to throw more dirt into the face of the people who actually think that the Emperor is somehow outerversal. All right, powers and ability, irrelevant strength. Due to the concepts of space and volume not applying to these beings whatsoever, their strength is irrelevant. Even
Why is he reading this?
Dimensional hyperverse has extremely little influence on a non-dimensional like being and is practically non-existent to a meta-abstract. Alright, so this is again super basic. All it's saying is this. This person is operating outside space and time. He is beyond these things. Therefore, he's essentially beyond the physical. So his strength is
like
irrelevant because
like the Emperor's
he
soul.
is already beyond the physical. He's not operating
not all souls,
within
of
the
course,
physical.
but the
so,
Emperor's,
you know,
yes.
say within the physical, that's where we operate. And so if I can lift 300 pounds, oh, hey, that's great. But this person doesn't operate within the physical. physical, so he's simply, by definition, beyond the physical, so his strength is irrelevant. It already supersedes what is physically possible, which already at the baseline completely supersedes everything that the Emperor has ever demonstrated. The very fact that the Emperor himself is a physical being
no, he isn't.
He is not outerversal.
He's a warp entity that happens to have a physical body as well.
Shows that he is not beyond the physical, that he quite very well operates within the physical, meaning that at the very baseline, he is absolutely, positively, objectively not outerversal. Now, the reason why you see this being pushed
have no reading
much
comprehension
is because
skills,
of
yes.
the warp and the Emperor drawing his powers from the warp itself. Now, the warp is something that people get very, very hung up on and very, very confused about. The warp is actually not beyond space and time, and in fact, it requires space.
So, one of the things that you'll notice in this video is that there are tons, loads and loads and loads, dozens of statements about the warp being outerversal. I showed them in my warp video, and Gamza doesn't respond to any of them. He doesn't respond to a single one. What he's going to try and do is he's going to try and find things that he thinks are contradictory with these statements, and then like uphold them and say these are the only statements that matter, instead of, you know, like the dozens of outerversal statements, which again I have a video on, so I'm not going to go into here. But yeah, needless to say, they exist.
But mind you, any like new explanation we would have for the warp still has to explain all those quotes. Like, we don't just get to throw them in the trash, right? Like, any new reading has to explain all of them.
Right, exactly. And I'm not going to try and give an explanation of the warp that doesn't account for everything. So we're going to respond to all of the examples that Gamza gives here, and I'm either going to use direct sources that show that he hasn't even read some simple stories like Betrayal Book 1, or some of like the early Horus Heresy books, that he hasn't even read the Chaos Demons Codex or anything like this. Like, he just doesn't know what he's talking about. He's not really a 40k fan. He's just like a grifter on YouTube.
It should say something that when I do research or whatever, occasionally before reading a book, you might like Control F through it just to see what might be in it or whatever. And basically every book that talks about the warp ends up having like an outer statement in it. It's like ridiculously consistent.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I got a super chat from Dawol, or maybe it's Davol, I don't know. Just got here, figured I'd throw $5 at you. Gonna play your video 2 times to catch up to whatever your response to this is. Thanks a lot, Devil. I really appreciate it. Alright, we'll continue here. 3, 2, 1, go.
In time to even operate, because it is a mirror of the physical universe itself. Now,
okay,
it is described as being...
I knew that was coming.
Damn it. I should have known that was coming. Okay, so he's relying on this idea, and this is, to be fair, this is stated occasionally in some sources, that the warp is a reflection of the material universe. I don't know if you want to elaborate, Hashi, whilst I get these quotes up.
Yeah, sure. So, we'll see quotes from even, like, beings like the Catan that will call the warp the Echo Realm and stuff like that. People like Gamza apparently try to use that to say, oh, well, it must be like the same size, or it must be reliant on it. But in truth, what it actually means is that the actions in the physical produce an echo or a reflection within the immaterium. So,
yeah. And I mean, the first obvious thing is that in Devastation of Baal, Kabanta connects infinite universes to the warp, and the warp takes them over, it infects them. So this is something that literally happens, like in Devastation of Baal. We see this directly. This isn't like a statement in a codex or something like that. This is a story event that completely changes the way that everything works in 40k. It's the reason that the Rift exists, right? So it's not just the reflection of one universe. It's connected to infinite universes. We see inside Nurgle's garden that there are infinite universes too. But ignoring this, even if we pretend those statements don't exist, which is what Gamza wants to do, there's another specific statement from Mephiston, City of Light, where Mephiston, who's probably the strongest, most knowledgeable Imperial Psyker that exists outside of the Emperor himself, and like dead people, but you know, don't worry about them, He says, beliefs have consequence. If enough souls wish for something to exist, it eventually comes into being. Are our beliefs an echo of something just beyond our comprehension? Either way, for every fanciful tale scribbled in a tragic hut, there is a physical manifestation somewhere else in the galaxy. And then he goes on in another place to say that... oh god, I'm having trouble reading this quote. Dyslexia hitting me hard. Oh my god. 1 second.
Is that your door? Alright, while Birdman is getting his pizza or whatever, I'll read the quote, because I'm a Giga Chad like that. I'm not even, it's an organization, was watching him with amusement in his eyes. Oh wait, oh yeah, beliefs have consequence. If enough souls believe, yeah, didn't he already read this one? Which one? He wasn't reading them in order. Alright, oh yeah, because Dromlek was not born of biology, she was born of belief. She does not abide by the rules of science that govern the rest of the galaxy. She is outside of space and time. The wound you have inflicted on the galaxy does not, and then goes on to explain the same thing in the book.
Alright, I'm back. Yes, thank you for that, Hashi.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the what this essentially is saying is that the belief is making things possible in the universe in the first place, right? The belief is superseding the physical, not the other way around. And in another statement from Mortarion in Plague Wars from Dark Imperium, he even says, quote, everything that happens here is reflected there endlessly. Every moment can be accessed, every lie heard, every broken promise relived. I have been deep within, far from Nurgle's garden, into realms where secrets flock like corpses. I found many interesting things there. Do you know why he made us? So not only is normal stuff in, like normal thoughts in the regular universe in the warp, they're there infinitely. Infinite times over, repeated endlessly. Timeless and eternal, he says. He says it is timeless and eternal. Very, very blatant statements. It's not just that the warp is the mirror of the universe. It completely supersedes it, and we can find incredibly mundane things in the universe infinite times there. Like, that's how much more vast it is.
It's to the extent when in Warhawk, when Constantine Valador is killing demons, he sees like fundamental truths within their essence or whatever, because they are manifestations of your demons, literally.
All right.
Oh, yeah, another chat.
It's from Davol as well. He says, do I have an alternate method to donate to the stream? I don't have one set up right now. But yeah, I know what you mean. I do have like a PayPal linked in my videos, but that won't come up as an announcement. So if you want me to read it, it has to be a super chat right now, unfortunately. As far as I know, super chats, YouTube doesn't take that much of them. They take a tiny little bit.
Yeah, I think with like the UI elements and stuff, it's worth it. You know.
Maybe. I understand like the complaint, obviously, but yeah, unfortunately, not an option. All right. Anyway, so that's that mirror statement dealt with. It's clearly wrong according to the source material, which again, Gamza hasn't read, so he doesn't know about it. But yeah. 3, 2, 1, go.
Immaterial, yet you have a timeline within the warp to which the Chaos Gods constantly fight. If they were not bound by time whatsoever, then there would be no timeline to which when Khorne was awoken, or when Slaanesh was awoken, or any of these things would even be happening.
So it's funny that he mentions that there's a timeline to when Slaanesh was awoken, because there's actually a direct statement about this. It's republished loads of times. It appeared in the Chaos Demons Codex several times, and it also appeared in what novel was it again? I can't remember.
Yeah, in one of the Rise of the Ynnari novels, it appears.
But... Anyway, I'm going to read it out to you here to show you Gamza doesn't know what he's talking about. He hasn't even done the basic research on this topic. So here we go. Quote, that is how events are viewed from the chronology of the material universe. In the warp, things are different, for the immaterium is not bound by linear time, and events do not occur in a strict sequence of cause then effect. As his rival gods reckon it, Slaanesh has always existed in the warp, and has yet never existed at all. So it almost sounds like the quote here is directly replying to Gamza and proving him wrong. It's insane, like, how bad he messed this up. And this is a very popular quote. This isn't like something I've just pulled out from some obscure source. It's in all the Chaos Codexes.
Keep the one I just sent you in DMs too. That one's good too. I forgot I had that.
I'll have a look at it in a second. I got another super chat from Matthew Salavaria. I hope I pronounced that right. Thank you for introducing me to 40k. I have so much to read. My favorite video is your Hal Parallax one. Would you ever do a Kyle Rayner as Ion video? Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. I'm glad you're getting into 40k. It's a really cool setting. The Hal Parallax video is actually another video that Hashi here helped me with, and I think it's a really good one too.
Really good ego trip for me too.
Yeah, Hashi helped me do some preliminary reading. We both read all the material basically and went over it together. So he knows exactly as much about Parallax as I do. Would I ever do a Kyle Rayner as Ion video? I was thinking about doing a video about all of the Ion hosts and just talking about like Ion in general. I think, and talking about like Sodom Yat and stuff. I think that would be an interesting one. But maybe I'll do Kyle Rayner at some point as well. I do like Kyle Rayner.
Yeah, he is neat.
So yeah. Anyway, let's have a look at this other quote. This is from The Board is Set. Quote, "The Sigilate had once read a theory that the tiniest of acts could have profound, devastating consequences. That stepping on a beetle in Chuzu could somehow precipitate a chain reaction that led to hurricanes devastating the Floridal Isles. The theory had been expounded upon at great length with many mathematical symbols and equations. Yet, that was before knowledge of the warp had become widespread. The warp and the beings within it cared nothing for causality. They shaped fate on a far grander scale. Destiny was as malleable to their manipulation as the flesh of their followers." End quote. Yeah, pretty blatant. This quote is much more obscure, to be fair, but either way. There's another very famous quote from Eye of Terror as well, where they talk about how within the Eye of Terror, which isn't even the proper warp, it's like this little nubule on the outside that has become like infected with the warp, right? That even there, the concepts of time are just mere playthings to the gods. And there's a lot of statements like this, actually.
Yeah. One of like the universal themes you'll find in all of them is just that time just doesn't work in the warp.
Yeah, if you're an actual fan, you know, if you actually read the 40k stuff, then you know this. But, you know, well...
Yeah, really
I can think of at least one person who hasn't.
Apparently not. No.
All right, let's continue. 3, 2, 1, go.
To begin with, because they would be operating outside of time to begin with, which goes to show that even the warp and the entities that are in there are not beyond space and time, that they actually operate still within it. They do possess the ability to manipulate it, but the best way to describe this is think of like water. Humans are comprised of water, or at least a lot of it, and we can manipulate the water that is around us. How?
Do you think Slaanesh is made of time?
We can stop the flow of a river by damming it up. So we can manipulate the water that is around us. However, does that mean that we are now beyond water because we can manipulate it? The answer is no. Just because you can create a dam, just because you can freeze water, just because you can reroute a river to go somewhere else and manipulate it and boil it, etc., does not mean that you are now beyond water itself and you've transcended it. Quite the contrary, without it, you're still dead. Just like the warp energies that are bound by time, without those warp energies, you do not have a chaos god. And if you do not have a timeline, you still do not have a chaos god, because that means he never had a beginning, which means he never existed to begin with. And okay, I'm pretty sure you are...
Yeah, the chaos gods don't have a beginning. We just read a quote that stated that from the perspective of the Immaterium, Slaanesh both existed for all time and also never existed. The gods are paradoxical, that's what they're like. Hilarious as well that the comparison here is water. Number one, Slaanesh isn't made of time or whatever. Number two, if I had a device and I flicked it and all the water in the universe disappeared, then, which the Emperor has done with time, then yes, I would be beyond water. I could do anything. Right, I just removed all water from existence. This is what the Chaos Gods can do. It's what they do all the time. There isn't even such a thing as, like, causality to them at all. It's just something that they play with.
Yeah, like, even, like, any, like, quote you'll find about the Chaos Gods will always say they're, like, beyond time. It really just showed that he hasn't, like, actually read anything, that he thinks, like, that Slaanesh needs time or something.
Well, he just gets a stick up his ass whenever somebody says that 40k is strong, and he doesn't know anything about 40k, so he just has to, like, make up stuff to find problems with it and pretend that all these statements don't exist and that there aren't direct sources responding to his arguments, which we've already shown exist.
The video just sounds a lot like a Dunning-Kruger.
Yeah, it is. He just doesn't understand the arguments being made. Alright, let's continue here. 3, 2, 1, go.
Are aware that there's a big part of the story to which the Eldar brought Slaanesh into being, which means Slaanesh
only in the material,
and therefore is not beyond
That's only
time,
what it looks
and
like where time
even
exists.
Debunking the fact that the Chaos Gods themselves are outerversal. This is a big no-go. Nothing in the Warhammer 40k universe is outerversal because it all operates within space and time. And if you want to know,
except when it
does the
doesn't
warp have space inside of it? Of course it does. How do you think anybody even goes into the Eye of Terror to begin with, lands on a demon planet, and fights with people? If there's no space, then no physical object could ever go into the warp at all.
Pause.
How does...
Okay.
I wanted to pause.
So, Gamza has forgotten his description of outerversal. He's forgotten what he read earlier. An outerversal realm is beyond the concepts of space and time, right? If something is beyond something else, yes, it can have that thing inside of it. There's nothing wrong with having a physical object in an outerversal realm. It's so big that space doesn't apply to it. That the idea of bigness doesn't apply to it. That doesn't mean that you can't have physical things there. But even if you couldn't, in, what is it, Magnus the Red of Prospero, I think is the name of the book. Is that? Let me just double check that that's the correct title. Magnus the Red, Master of Prospero, where he meets with Perturabo, and Perturabo makes an infinite dimensional device to navigate the Great Ocean. That's just the surface of the warp, right? What happens is that Magnus goes there, he sees that this part of the warp is infinite dimensional, this is where stuff is, like planets in the warp and things like this, and then he accidentally goes too far, and he goes too deep into the warp, and I'll read you what he finds. He says, Magnus drifted on tides unknown. An infinite white void surrounded him, without dimensions or points of reference. He did not know this place, but it was clearly not the Great Ocean. Perhaps this is what it was like to die, or was this what a mind experienced when it finally let slip the moorings of existence and gave in to death? No, neither of these answers seemed satisfactory. For all that he had no experience of dying, this did not feel like the end of his body of light. He had no sensation of his flesh, no sight of the absurdly fragile silver thread that linked his power to his corporeal shell when soaring in the great ocean. Perhaps he had reached too far, dared too greatly, and this was the price he must pay. His body lived, but it was no longer linked to his mind. He had seen aspirants fail in this way before, and watched as their bodies wasted away without the spirits to sustain them. And later, he makes the comparison that what happened to him is that he used to be on the surface of the ocean, and then he stuck his head below the surface and found the great ocean there, right? The infinite depth of the great ocean, and then it becomes outerversal at that point, right? And this is what happens when psychers they die, right? They mess with their powers too much, and then they just, boom, gone, right? That's exactly what he just says in that quote, right? So, there are places in the warp with space, and this is where normal people, and when you're traveling through the warp, this is where you go. You go to these, like, really basic, like, surface of the warp, not the deeper warp, and the gods exist all throughout. Like, there are statements that chaos and the warp are one and the same, right, and things like this. And you know who comes and saves Magnus from this? It's the fucking Emperor. The Emperor comes to save him from this outerversal realm he can't comprehend. Like, in this book, in Magnus the Red, Master of Prospero. So if that isn't blatant, I don't know what is. I got another... Sorry, I just got another super chat, and then I'll let you say something. From Doogman11, he says, love your vids, and now you're probably the most consistent power scaler. What's your 2 cents on the theory that the Primarchs were actually created by trapping minor warp gods in physical form? I'm not aware of anything that would support, like, that would make that true, but it sounds plausible, you know, like, it sounds like a good idea for what might have happened. I don't know what Hashi thinks about it.
I think that the Primarchs do definitely have, like, a belief power to them. There is, like, a certain amount of faith in humanity that goes into the Primarchs themselves. I don't think that they're, like, warp gods like that, because that line of argumentation goes a pretty regressive route with some interactions between Abaddon and Horus. So I think it's fine, though. It's a fine theory to have. I just don't think it's that substantiated.
Yeah, they're definitely powered by belief in some way. PJ says, do you play the 40k tabletop game? Yes, all the time. I've played it for like 20 years. I first started collecting the models when I was 5, and I'm 25 now. So I've played the tabletop game quite a lot. We played it a couple of weeks ago, right? Like online.
Yeah.
Although we had technical issues, so it didn't go so great. But I like orcs right now. I like Tau as well. But yeah, I used to play a lot of Space Marines. Mr. G is here. Can react to Doomslayer vs Asura by YFV. No, I don't respond to videos from known pedophiles and sexual harassers.
I want to respond to a comment I saw in the chat too. Saint Celestine versus Karn, that happened in Shrouded Night. Go read it. It's a good book. Pretty sure the author follows me on Twitter too. So.
Oh, red.
Yeah.
But yeah, your favorite villain is Splash, by the way. So Noodles has a video about that I think you should watch before you keep watching his videos. He's a pretty bad person.
Yeah.
So, no, not going to respond to one of his videos. Thank you very much.
I just realized how far delayed the stream is too. I saw the chat responding to the orc thing.
Yeah, it's only a little bit delayed. If somebody could post the Noodles video in chat, that would be good actually. But yeah, we'll continue here. We good?
Yeah, we should be.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Caldor Drago go into the warp at all.
He goes into the surface of the warp.
He couldn't enter it at all, or fight or destroy.
If he went too far, the same thing would happen to him, happen to Magnus.
Any of this, he could have no armor, no equipment.
He would lose his
body in the warp if there was no space for it to be there to begin with.
Yes,
so
and Magnus lost his body when he went too far.
Time within it. Which once again means that the warp energies and the powers that Psykers draw from them, while they can manipulate and be at least a little bit higher than the plain physical dimension, they are not outerversal. They are not beyond space, time, and matter. However, they can manipulate it to a degree, as I explained before, when it comes to water. However, they do not transcend it. They are not beyond it. Alright, so that should clarify if the Emperor of Mankind is outerversal. Not even close. Not even remotely close to being outerversal. If I was to power scale the Emperor, I would say at best he's probably planetary level, and if I wanted to be ultra, like super ridiculously generous, it would be solar system level, and even then I think that's pushing it. Some people may try to bring up stuff like warp storms and all this other stuff. Again, these are non sequiturs. These are things that people, it's just bad reasoning and critical thinking skills. I don't know.
Bad critical thinking skills.
But you gotta call it for what it is. This would be like me saying, if I go and remove a couple of bricks in the middle of a dam and the water begins to leak through it and the dam gets destroyed and all the water comes rushing down and it destroys a city at the bottom of the hill, does this mean that me, Gamza, solo, as an individual, I am now a city destroyer level tier? The answer is no, because all I did was unleash the forces of nature to do the work for me. That power didn't come from my own. It's the same thing with the Emperor opening up a portal and warp energies begin to pour through. It's not energies that are coming from the Emperor himself. It's simply him removing a brick from the dam and letting the warp energies do the rest of the work for him. So I do not think that the Emperor is really a solar system level destroyer, but if you wanted to push it that far, I guess maybe you could kind of say that. But remember, none of these energies come from the Emperor.
All right, I want to. So the problem with the dam comment is that it implies that like the dam is this like separate structure. But the problem with that in our instance with 40k here is that the Emperor just is the dam too.
Yeah.
And not just the dam. He's like the natural part that keeps the water in too, right? Like
yeah, the Emperor is the thing stopping the Chaos Gods. He's the thing stopping the water. He is the dam.
Yeah. So when he removes a brick, he has to like open it up, let the water through, and then close it back up. We see this with like the webway too.
Yeah. If you make a hole in the warp, like, it doesn't close. It just makes a giant, like, that's it. It just opens. But Psychers can close these holes, and the Emperor has done this. He's made warp storms and then closed them again. Which, I mean, like, I don't even think I used any feats like that anyway. The only one I used was, like, the Goj Van Dyer thing, right? That, like, wiped out his whole fleet and absorbed all those star systems. But, like, there's tons of other really blatant feats on this level.
Like, it's not even like it's like only warp feats or anything like that. There's like obviously like Sanguinius fighting is it Madrid the Undivided? Is it Madrid?
Matile. It's like Matile, yeah.
All right, I called him a city in Spain.
Yeah.
Yeah. He fights this demon who's capable of making this structure around a solar system. You know.
Yeah.
And it's like
with his own power.
Like, yeah, Sanguinius isn't a psyker like Magnus, right? Like I kind of like Sanguinius obviously has like foresight and stuff like that, but he's not like casting strength on himself or something like that. That just doesn't happen.
Yeah. This analogy is really bad, and also the place where the psyker power comes from is from their souls, which is in the warp. Like the warp part, some of the water that's being talked about here is warp stuff that comprises their bodies. For instance, Eldrad. When another Farseer looked at Eldrad, he said, oh, most souls in the warp are like candles, but yours is like a supernova, right? Like, it's not just like taking bricks out of a dam. Like, they actually have tons of power as part of their being. Where do I... Mr. G is here asking me, where do you scale the Doomslayer in terms of power? So, okay, I'm currently looking at the Doom Eternal stuff, because it's a lot more complicated, and... I'm going to probably do a video on Doomguy and the Doomslayer in the future. So the Doomslayer is like, there's like planetary stuff, there's like arguably outerversal stuff that I think is problematic, but I'll have to look into it more. And from Doom, if you're just talking about Doom 2016, there's a lot of multi-city block level feats. The BFG is multi-city block level when it's used on the final boss in that game, the Spider Mind. I think that's what it's called, right?
Spider Mastermind, yeah.
Spider Mastermind, yeah. And there are like other demons that can tank attacks from the BFG, and then the Doomslayer, like with his bare fists, can tear them apart. So he's like physically stronger than the BFG, and then he can go like into Berserk mode too, and he's even stronger in Berserk mode. So
it's elaborated on in Doom Eternal that he just likes guns. He doesn't have to use them; he just likes them or whatever.
Right, that's pretty funny, yeah. There's a lot of really great stuff in Doom Eternal, though. So I'm sorry that I can't answer your question as good as I would like, but I just don't know enough. Alright, so we listen to this last little part of this video. There's probably not anything left, but let's do it.
Yeah.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, and go.
Emperor himself. He draws from them on the warp. Without the warp, the Emperor doesn't even really exist to begin.
That's not true. He has a soul.
He becomes somebody who never fused to begin with.
He has a soul that has energy in it.
A bunch of nobodies, just a bunch of basic humans.
It's like saying if the Emperor didn't have his soul, he wouldn't have power. Obviously.
Couldn't even take over a single galaxy, but somehow is supposed to be beyond the entire universe, and not only that, but multiverses. Get out of here.
All right, that's the end of the video. So he's talking about like, oh, the Emperor couldn't even conquer a single galaxy. Yeah, whilst he was fighting the Chaos Gods 24/7, he couldn't. Obviously, like he's constantly engaged in this battle with Chaos that weakens him, which I did talk about in my video. So yeah, when he's like a guy constantly fighting with these massive, incomprehensible gods that have been engaged in an eternal, timeless war, he doesn't have the strength to, like, conquer the galaxy in instant speed. And by the way, what the Emperor actually wants to do is colonize the galaxy. He wants people to live in the galaxy. He doesn't want to annihilate it with space magic, okay? Like, what can he do with his power, really? Like, he needs people to be able to live there. He needs a community. He needs an army. He needs a political structure. Stuff like this. This is why he makes the Primarchs. It's not like his only goal is to just destroy stuff. But even if he wanted to just destroy everything, he could. He could just let chaos in. Like, why doesn't he? Like, that's obviously something he can do. We know he can do that. Like, it's literally, it would be a consequence of him standing up from the throne right now. Like, let alone anything else.
Yeah. I mean, there are also powers that, like, the Emperor should have that aren't reliant on the warp as well. Like, stuff in his biology and, some more niche arguments about, like, the Enuncia and stuff like that. But I don't expect just anybody to know about that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like, for instance, like, are we gonna say, what's his name? Jagatai Khan's like ability to enter this super zen fighting state is like based on the warp. Like maybe it is. Maybe it's just a biological thing. Maybe it's just like a skill thing that he inherited from the Emperor. Like there's tons of abilities the Emperor could have outside of his warp powers. But in any case, this is a really redundant statement because it's like saying if the Emperor didn't have his powers, he wouldn't have any powers. Like no shit.
Yeah.
Like, his powers come from his soul. And I mean, even if the warp didn't exist and the Emperor still had his soul, he would still have his powers. Like, that's where they come from.
I don't understand how that can make sense in, like, Gamza's brain to try to say, like, if he, if the warp didn't exist or whatever. Because, like, a big part of the video is, like, the warp Emperor. It's just, like... At the beginning of the video, he tries to mention, like, the Orc War Boss or whatever. It's just very clear he didn't actually watch it.
Did he? I don't remember him mentioning that, but I know that,
Yeah, he mentions it at the very beginning.
Oh, maybe I'm just not remembering that then, because it was the technical stuff. But, yeah. The Orc... Yeah. Speaking of the Orc War Boss, by the way, that Orc War Boss can be strong as hell. Can be extremely strong. It's the strongest Orc ever. There's no reason. It's actually wrong to call him a war boss. He's like a Krork come back. He's like the strongest Krork come back or something. Like, he's insane. He's not just a regular Orc war boss. And the Emperor was fighting the Chaos Gods at this exact same time, and all of this Orc's goons, and then he completely erased this Orc and every single Orc on the entire planet with one attack on a level that was so extreme. Horus had never seen anything like it before. And it was like, what was it? Like, he was erased on all spheres of existence, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was the most intense death possible to every single Orc aligned with this one Orc. Like, it's not an anti-feat for the Emperor. He smacked this Orc, and all of the Orcs aligned with him.
Yeah, like... Even if you, like, read the story, I think there's, like, one quote where people try to says that he's struggling, but, like, right after it, he just, like, erases the Orc. So it's, like, he's holding back.
Yeah, and like, he's, like, this definitely does happen. The Orc is, like, grappling with him, and it says he's struggling. And then Horus comes over and gets the Orc off him, right? And then he just erases them all. Do you know who killed Horus? The Emperor. He completely erased him in one shot when he was powered up by all of the Chaos Gods at the same time. Like... Hello? Basic scaling? I just got a super chat from JMD. You rule, man. Thank you. Do you think the Emperor's soul is stronger than the Chaos Gods and that Tzeentch is trying to stop him from dying? So I don't think that right now the Emperor is stronger than Chaos. I actually think Chaos is much, 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 much stronger than the Emperor. They're still relative, but yeah, Chaos is definitely stronger. What's basically happening is there are infinite universes, right? Like, the Chaos Gods have conquered many infinite universes, and they're trying to conquer this one universe, and they can't. But it's not intentional, right? Like, the Chaos is most interested in fighting with each other, and sometimes that fighting spills over into the Materium, and this is what the Emperor is trying to prevent. When the Necron technology went down that was helping the Emperor, like the big rift, I can't remember what it's called. Not the Eye of Terror, the big one, the Maelstrom.
Yeah, it's just called the Great Rift.
The Great Rift.
For High Gothic.
That's right, the Great Rift. Yeah, got bigger, right? And this kind of and demons turn up all the time, right? So this implies that the Emperor, he's still succeeding in protecting the universe, but he's slowly starting to lose. As for Tzeentch trying to stop him from dying, Tzeentch undermines himself all the time. He like constantly ruins his own plans. That's like part of his nature. But I'm sure if the Emperor did die and then come back as, you know, because of his perpetual thing, he could be so strong that he could just defeat Chaos easily. And that's the sort of stuff we saw in 2nd edition and 1st edition with the Star Child. But that was like retcon, so because we found out that was all a Tzeentch plot or whatever, and Inquisitor came in and like killed all the senseis and stuff. So who knows if that's actually true, but it's possible. I like that theory at least.
Yeah, there is a very popular quote people post from Godblight, but I think that quote is pretty problematic in and of itself. I don't think it holds that much predictive power.
You mean
it's the one where like the Emperor burns Nurgle's garden or whatever. Yeah, my issue with that is that it's in like a place like the Eye of Terror, so it's not like the full war when he does it.
Yeah, well, that's also another mistake Gamza made. He said like there are planets in the Eye of Terror, but the Eye of Terror is not the full warp. It's like the least warp part of the warp. You know, it's like a little outside bit. It's not like the deep warp or whatever.
There's the quote that like a lot of people talk about where like planets in the Eye of Terror can be flat or whatever is like a telephoned version of the quote. Originally it said like each planet in the Eye of Terror is like a universe in and of itself.
Right, yeah. Yeah, if you go to these planets, they're completely crazy. It's not like being on a regular planet at all. And time like reverses and vanishes, and space gets like messed up on these planets all the time. Like it's if you read any of the stories where people actually go there, it's crazy. It's not like just regular space and time. Kaiju Blood God, you should do a collab with Arch Warhammer. He has really good lore videos. I think Arch Warhammer has some okay videos, but and I don't want to like shit on him, but his level of research isn't like, I wouldn't put his videos on my channel, if that makes sense. I don't think the research is thorough enough, but he does okay videos. He's definitely a lot better than Gamza. Gamza just doesn't know anything really.
Yeah, it's like guy who reads a little bit versus this guy who reads nothing is what it is. Like Arch obviously does read some stuff, it's just not nearly enough.
He had like a good video on the Second War for Armageddon, I think. I liked that one.
Yeah, he can like follow like a campaign book pretty well, but he doesn't like read the novels nearly enough.
Yeah, I'm not trying to shit on Arch Warhammer, like whatever, he's fine. Yeah, but I probably wouldn't collab with him. I don't like doing collabs in general, but yeah, I probably wouldn't. Matthew Salvara asked me another question. He says, and thank you by the way, I saw a Superboy Prime video. Since that release, we got Death Metal, which wraps up Prime's story. Have you read it? Will you do a follow-up video? I have read it, very briefly, to be honest. I don't think I will do a follow-up video just because it would be so short, you know? It'd be a really short video, there wouldn't be much to talk about. I didn't know there was going to be all this Superboy Prime stuff, like moments after I uploaded my video, right? If I knew that, I would have waited. I think the stuff in Death Metal is really good for Superboy Prime. It was a great way to wrap up his story. Maybe he'll turn up again later. Maybe I could do a video like stuff I missed and just put everything like I missed from videos in the past in one video, and I would talk about it there. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll do a solo video. If I do a solo video, it means I'm trying to make money, probably.
Yeah, it seems to be a trend that when you release a video shortly after, something will come out or whatever.
I know, right? Like with the Trigon stuff, that was crazy. So much Trigon stuff came out immediately after I did that Darkseid vs Trigon video. And people got really mad because I can't see the future or whatever. Like, I'm sorry, I didn't know there was going to be more stuff for Trigon, like, next week or whatever. My bad.
Yeah. You want to watch, like, another video or something? Or...
Maybe we could watch another video? I'm not sure what we would do, though. Another Gamza video?
The exaggerated one.
Which one?
Made. It's like why 40K is exaggerated, because it's like basically a prelude to this one in a way.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's probably just him coping, right?
I mean, that's every one of his videos, but yeah, sure.
God, look how much he grifts. Look how many videos he does. Like, he doesn't do any research. He just pumps out, like, the same 4 videos, like, every week.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Maybe I should just...
You can just look up why, and it's, like, the first one that popped up.
I got it.
Why?
Why people exaggerate 40K, you've been lied to. Yeah, I don't know, I could lie to myself.
Who was it that did that video where they were like hanging on Cypher's cane or something?
I couldn't tell you.
That video was funny in how little they got the point of those books, but you know, Cypher's cane is great, by the way. If you're a 40K fan and you want to get into 40K, the Cypher's cane omnibus has like a lot of short stories in it. It's really fun. I really like all the characters in it. Great, like definitely give it a read.
Yeah, I think it's like really terrible how little people read the series and then try to talk about it. It's kind of my issue with like 40K YouTube in general.
All right.
At least from the lore perspective, like, you know, if you're painting models, you can just paint your models, right? Like, you don't need to read shit. But,
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. People that, like, I'm not trying to hate on people that are just like fans for like different reasons or whatever. Like, you can just be a fan of the tabletop, you can just be a fan of the video games, but if you're doing a video where you're saying that I'm wrong about the lore, you better have actually read the lore, because I have. Yeah. So I'm going to expect you to have also actually done any of the reading.
Like, if like hypothetically we were just to say, all right, let's say like Gamza's right here for like a picosecond, right? Well, now we have like some 80 quotes that now have to be thrown away because they're inaccurate, right?
Right, exactly.
They don't. And then what did Gamza actually provide us with? Like nothing.
Yeah,
so
it doesn't really add anything to 40K to just say, oh, all these statements are wrong or whatever.
Yeah, like it's not like there's like this grander scheme of Zinch or something that like fooled every single statement that's ever made about the lore. No, they're just wrong because Gamza apparently reads a lot and he thinks they're wrong. Like,
even if that was the argument he made, at least it would be an argument, right? At least it would be an argument. But he doesn't make an argument in that video, at least.
He tries to call everything a non sequitur, but if you really want to get petty, that's just a fallacy. So.
It itself is a non sequitur there.
Yeah.
PJ has asked, favorite Age of Sigmar / fantasy character. Oh,
PJ,
God.
you know I'm gonna say Nagash. I don't know why you.
Yeah, Nagash. Yeah, Nagash is not my favorite though. What's his name? He's my favorite, but I can't remember his name. That's really bad. He's the oldest Slan. He's the undead Slan. Croak. That's it. Croak is so good. I love Croak. I'm not that much of a fan of fantasy and Sigmar, but I love me some Croak, and I like Nagash a lot too. There's a lot of great characters in fantasy though.
Yeah, like Gore-Tex and Felix have like
Gore-Tex and
6
Felix.
omnibus. Yeah, they have 6 omnibus. You like, this is kind of like an appeal, but like you don't get 6 omnibuses if you're just writing trash, right?
Yeah, exactly. The Devourer says, Cicatrix Maledictum is the name of the Great Rift. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's the High Gothic name. Yeah,
which is just Latin, right?
Yeah, Latin, like not Latin. Yeah.
Which is a different. Actually, it's not a transliteration either. Like Great Rift that's not Latin for Great Rift. It's like something of malice or whatever. But yes, thank you. Oh, PJ says just got the first Go Trek novel. Great. Those are good too. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
All right.
3, 2, 1, go.
Why, hello there, everybody. Welcome to this video. So today I've got another interesting one for you here today. This is going to be why people exaggerate Warhammer 40K. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump off into this. Why does there seem to be a bit of a divide on how powerful things are in Warhammer 40K, specifically when I make, let's say, versus videos, or when you and your friends begin to discuss things like maybe Star Wars versus Warhammer 40K?
Oh, I think I did watch this video actually.
Now, resistance
isn't he just mad like
it's the type of resistance
about
that you
the
meet
optics being bad or whatever?
Now, let me share with you a little bit of my experience. I have been in Warhammer 40k since 3rd edition, so that's basically a little
I've
over
been
20
in,
years.
in 40k since
some of the people
3rd edition too.
Right now. If you guys didn't know,
but I'm actually a fan, unlike you.
I'm loving every second of it. But anyways, with all these new additions that have come down the line and all the years that I've played Warhammer 40k, I've seen the ebb and flow of Games Workshop. I've seen the highlights, I've seen the downfalls, I have met and interacted with new players that are into the game.
Hold on. Let's pause.
Play.
Pause. Warhammer Adventures is fucking good. That shit is good. Like, people were complaining about it before it came out. They're like, oh, this is kid stuff. But then people started reading them and they were like, actually, this is some good stuff. Like, what's wrong with Warhammer Adventures?
I've never really understood the perspective of like, no, you can't have like stuff for kids or whatever. It's like who cares? Like, the galaxy is like huge, right? Like not just like, oh, galaxy big 100 light years, but like if we look at how the galaxy is actually portrayed, like every planet is like so separated from others, right? Like, it is, like, actually dishonest to the setting to pretend that every planet ever is just always grim dark, everybody's in the mud. No. Like,
most people aren't.
There are people in 40k who, they're, like, however many greats grandfather maybe heard, like, Horus came to their planet once during the Great Crusade. And since then, it's just been radio silence, and they've just been sending off their tithes to the, to the Inquisition or whatever.
Yeah, like, most people have never seen an orc. 99.9% of Imperial citizens have never seen an orc or anything like that. Some places like the Underhives are nasty, just like being, you know, in certain places in London is nasty. But the average life of a regular Imperial citizen is better than the life for humans today. Like, they have, like, life extension technology. They can cure most diseases, you know. They have an overabundance of food, like, tons of stuff. Like, I guess there are, like, other problems, obviously, like the Inquisition and stuff like this, but it's not just all gloom and doom. There's definitely room for other stories.
Yeah, I was going to say something. Aside from, like, astronomical observations, we could totally live in the Imperium right now, like, and we just wouldn't know it. Like, that is entirely, like, realistic.
Yeah, there are planets that don't even know that the rest of the Imperium exists. Because they don't have the technology and nobody's turned up and stuff.
Yeah, or someone turned up, like, 10,000 years ago and then they left. Like...
Yeah. I think, like, to be fair, like, the Warhammer Adventures books, like, they do fight, like, actual villains. But, for instance, like, a single... Like, the book with Necrons in it, whatever, it's, like, 3 Necrons are, like, in it. And, like, I don't think they even beat the Necrons. Like, 3 Necrons are, like... impossible for them to beat, right? It's not trivialized at all. From what I've read of them, the writing is very good, and the only people complaining are just like salty middle-aged men that don't like that 40k isn't only for them. Yeah, like sorry, like that's
the crowd tends to be like Gamza, who played 3rd edition when they were younger, and then maybe got back into it now, or were always playing it. Like, you were once a little kid, my guy. Like, I don't know how else to break it to you.
Yeah,
it's just
exactly.
Now, yeah.
All right, sorry. Let's continue. 3, 2, 1, go.
I've even met people who've been in the Warhammer 40k scene longer than I have, and it's quite interesting to learn things from them that I've never experienced.
They usually don't know much.
2nd edition, stuff like that. Now, why exactly am I bringing this up? Because this brings us to point number 1.
Like, they don't read anything either.
My personal experience as to why people exaggerate Warhammer 40k. It comes from your friends, specifically them trying to get you into Warhammer 40k, or you could be this friend that's trying to
get your friend. It's funny, because I don't think I ever do this, right?
Now, let me explain this.
I don't think I've ever been like, you should get into 40k because it's so strong.
Throughout the years. So imagine
I actually made a video about why you shouldn't do that.
Warhammer 40k. Maybe you've heard a couple of things here and there, but you've never given it a second look. Then your friend comes up to you one day and starts telling you about Warhammer 40k and how great it is, how crazy and over the top this sci-fi universe is. Maybe you ask a couple of questions. That's cool. What can you tell me about the Space Marines? Then your friend gets all excited. His eyes light up. Oh, dude, let me tell you about Space Marines. These guys are like 10 feet tall, genetically enhanced super warriors. They've got like 4 lungs. They've got like 5 hearts. These guys don't go down. It's almost impossible to kill them. And they wear something that's called power armor, which is bulletproof. They basically can't die. They're like these super soldiers. A single spaceman could like take over the Earth. All right, now some
Oh,
of
yeah.
you guys
Well,
might be
obviously, I
laughing
think-
or smiling to yourself.
Let's pause.
Going, come on, Gamza.
Let's pause. Because this a handful of space marines could conquer a planet or whatever thing isn't talking about the space marines individually going around and like killing everybody. Like what they do is they take strategic command and then they help the PDF, right? that's what they do. And you can see this in like Hell's Reach as well, with the main character. I can't remember his name, the Reclusiarch, the chaplain.
Oh, Grimaldus.
Grimaldus. Yeah. When he turns up, like he takes command of the PDF and the Imperial Guard there. That's why Space Marines are so good at helping. Yes, video is bad and wrong. Space Marines have 2 hearts, indeed. And I'm responding to the chat now. I shouldn't. I should only respond to Super Chats, but I'm going to respond to Devourer here. No, you're joking.
To the chat.
Of the quadrillions of humans on Terra, most are starving and barely able to see anything out their own spire. Terra is in a uniquely bad situation. And I'm glad you said quadrillions, actually, because that is correct. There are quadrillions on Terra. Most people downplay it, but yeah, there's tons of people on Terra. But that's not true for most hive cities. It's not true for most agricultural worlds. It's not true for most central Imperium worlds. I've never heard of an orc psyker, a weird boy.
I have to go to the bathroom, so respond to the chat.
Alright, cool. Orc psyker abilities. Orcs have really strong psykers. There are what's his name? The named one. His name begins with W. What something? Anyway, yeah. There are some really strong weird boys, and orc psykers are like uniquely powerful in weird ways. What is happening? Dimensional Shader were just watching another Gamza video called Why People Exaggerate Warhammer 40k, which is basically just him coping. What can psykers do? So many different things. I mean, I went over a lot of psyker abilities in my Emperor video, but there's a lot more than that. Like, basic stuff is like soul erasure, BFR, like sending people into the warp, mind control, like creating physical attacks like lightning or whatever. They can like manipulate biology, change fate, see the future, things like this. Only the hive worlds are all yucky and bad. Most of the hive worlds are also good. It's just the undercities and like some other places that suck in hive worlds. But there's a lot of people living happy lives in hive worlds too. I just hate Games Workshop so much. Yeah, I feel that. I don't know. Games Workshop, they either make the most horrible, terrible decisions ever, or they make like really great, innovative decisions, and there's like no in between. I enjoy a lot of the writers that work for Games Workshop, and that's like basically it. You know, like that's basically my connection to them. Most of them are big rock. A lot of the Imperial Fist abilities are big rock. Yeah, they just make a big rock or throw a big rock or whatever. I didn't include any of those in the video. Quick, ask me more questions. Hashi's not here right now. Webcamparrot, when will you scale Webcamparrot? Impossible. It'd be too. I'm too strong. It would be too difficult. Any orcs that worship the Emperor? Not as far as I know. There could be, though. Like, there's no reason why not, right? They might incidentally worship the Emperor because they just know he's really strong. The grim darkness of the setting is overhyped by the fan base. Yeah, 100%. 100%. If you actually read the stories, like, they're not really... It's not that grim dark. There's, like, stuff that's horrible, but it's not like a Harlan Ellenson story or something like that.
I've always seen it like, if you took like a photograph of something, two people might describe it differently, and I think that there are some stories that try too hard to portray it as grim dark. Like there's this one short story where it talks about like Corvus Corax going into like it was like some like luxury facility, and he's like all miserable and stuff. I just think that's really dumb and weird.
Yeah, people make fun of that book a lot though. I've not touched on any orc books outside of Vulcan's book, to be fair. I've only started reading after your Emperor vid. Any you'd recommend on the orcs? I've watched Hell's Reach. I mean, Hell's Reach is a great book, but obviously you've watched it already. You've watched the animated series, which made by what's his name, that's very good.
Yeah.
There aren't a lot of orc books, honestly. A recent set of stories came out that actually had an orc protagonist, but I can't remember what they're called.
there was Brutal Cunning, and then there's
That's it.
There's a book about Gadskull that came out very recently as well.
He's not the protagonist though, right?
It's like he is, but it's like a story within a story, if I recall correctly. Like it's like people talking about Gadskull.
Okay. Anyway, the Beast series. If you want to read a story about orcs, then the Beast, unless that's what you mean by the Vulcan books. But yeah, the 7 Beast books are very good. At least the first few are very good. It kind of like peters out later, but how strong are the Orc gods? That's a good question. I don't think they're as strong as the Emperor. Like, if the Emperor didn't exist, then Chaos Warp would flood in, and I don't think Gork and Mork could do anything about it. Maybe they could, though. The thing to realize is that not the belief energy of each race is not equal. So, just because there are lots of orcs that believe in them, the way that orcs believe stuff tends to have direct physical effects, whereas the way that humans and Eldar believe in stuff tends to have, like, effects in the warp and things like this. Belief is actually stronger than the warp. That's how, like, Iliad was created beyond the warp, through belief. And it's things like this.
Chaplains can, like, resist, like, warp mind hacks through a similar way.
Yeah.
Just pure belief.
Just through pure belief, yeah. So the Orc gods are probably pretty strong, but I don't think they're as strong as the Emperor. Maybe they are. There isn't much to say. In the Orc codexes, it says stuff like Gork and Mork can beat anyone or whatever. Like, they could beat all the other... and, like, there's stories about them fighting Khorne, but that's not corroborated anywhere else. So that might just be part of what the Orcs believe.
Yeah.
There's also Gorka Morka, the combination of both gods. That's the actual strong Orc god, Gorka Morka, which they talk more about in fantasy and stuff. But yeah, if you want to talk about a strong warp god, it's Gorka Morka, not Gork and Mork.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue. 3, 2, 1, and go.
Like, you think this is where all the exaggerations come from? Not entirely, but I will tell you this from personal experience, which of course doesn't mean that that's the experience that's shared across the world. But throughout the years,
all you have
it's
is
been a
personal
recurring
experience, 'cause you
theme.
don't
This
read
happens
anything.
very often. It's someone who reads a little bit about the lore and they get things wrong, or they intentionally exaggerate it, trying to excite
or
their
they
friend to get them
intentionally
into
downplay it
Warhammer
because they're
40K.
salty
And
about
sometimes
40K
this
being
will
strong.
work. Their friend gets into Warhammer 40K, or he starts asking more questions like, what about Master Chief versus a Space Marine? And then the friend keeps going on with this, going, oh, dude, come on. Master Chief isn't as tall as a Space Marine, which means the Space Marine automatically wins. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster. A Master
Is
Chief
anybody
is
actually
like
making
a
these
basic
arguments?
Imperial Guardsman in the terms of Warhammer 40K.
I think the straw man
I'm telling
is.
you guys, I
Yeah,
have
it's a bit of a
seen this
straw man,
so
don't you
many
think?
times around real-life events, in tournaments, teaching people how to play in Warhammer 40K, just hanging out at the hobby store. This happens all the time. There's no way that I can be the only guy that has witnessed this. For you guys out
I've
there
never
that
seen
are
anybody
experienced
do
in
anything like
Warhammer
this.
40K, that have
People-
actually
no,
gone to these
If people
tournaments,
talk
that
about it,
have
they'll
done events,
talk about it
please
seriously.
leave a
They'll
comment
be like,
down
look
below
at what
and let me know
Bolter's
some of the
like.
stories that
They'll
you
be
have
saying,
seen when it
you know,
comes
this
to
is how
people
physically
trying to
strong
exaggerate or
Space
excite
Marines
their
are and
friends
stuff like
get
that.
them
They
into
don't just say he's
40K,
bigger or
that they
whatever.
begin to just kind of go overboard with some of the things that they're saying. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't see these people as like, you're the enemy and how dare you exaggerate Warhammer 40K or anything else like that. These are just people who mean well. They're trying to get their friends into Warhammer 40K, but their exaggerations don't help in the long run. These are short-term goals to excite a friend, to get them in there. Now, I want to go
it's
ahead
about
and jump off
optics,
into
huh?
the second point, and this is going to be not understanding hyperbole and the Warhammer 40K
can we pause
codices.
here?
Now, for
Yeah,
those of
pause.
Alright, so, assuming we're at the same point about hyperbole in the
Indeed.
video.
Indeed.
Yeah. So, also, there's a super chat, so we'll talk about that in a second.
Let's do the super chat first. Recently learned there are 21 Primarchs. Alfarius was a twin. How true is this? His twin is Omegon. Do we think Omegon is a Primarch? Maybe he's not. Like, maybe does it count?
No, he is.
He is? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened? Alfarius has a Primarch novel now, which you should go read. I don't want to spoil it in the call because it's written very uniquely.
Yeah. The short answer is yes. The long answer is the novel about it.
Yeah. I'm willing to say there's like kind of 22, or maybe 23, depending who you want to count. Like, I think Valdor should count in that discussion, and then there's something in one of the Inquisitor books that people call Primarch Zero. It's very interesting as well. It's like one of those things like when people ask how many Mecha Godzilla are there.
Yeah, it's just
like
yeah, it's convoluted.
Yeah.
So right. Tentatively 23 is the what's beyond the warp, the void that Iniad lives in, and the Aether and stuff like this.
Yeah.
Brazil, yeah.
Yeah, Brazil, yeah, for sure.
And let's talk about this hyperbole thing.
So, hyperbole is use of exaggeration, whatever. All right. We all know what hyperbole is, or I'm assuming everybody knows. If you don't, you can read the screen. I think that definition is fine. Yeah. The issue here is, how do you know when something is hyperbole?
Yeah. When does something count as hyperbole, and when is somebody being hyperbolous?
Yeah. So, like, for example, if someone's like, oh, Superman over there, yeah, he lifts cars. It's like, well, you know, if you read Action Comics #1, he lifts a car, right? So it's being literal, you know? But, like, if we're talking about, like, oh, Mike Tyson, he can, like, punch through the earth. It's like, well, you know, I've seen Mike Tyson fight before. He sure as hell didn't punch through the earth. You know, they're obviously being hyperbolic.
Right.
It's a way of interpreting what somebody says. It's not like this absolute state of the sentence or something like that.
Yeah, it depends what the statement is about and when it was made. And if you have more evidence, you know, like if you actually do research, then you have more reason to think certain statements aren't hyperbole, right? But even if you're doing that, right, there has to be a good reason for something to be hyperbole. Anyway, maybe he'll give some examples in a minute. So we'll continue.
Yeah, all right.
3, 2, 1, go.
Of you who are not entirely familiar with what a codex is for Warhammer 40k, these are small books that are designed to teach you about a specific faction in the Warhammer 40k tabletop game. It explains the lore, and it also explains the rules.
Yep.
Now hear me out on this one. Let's say that we're going to talk about a Space Marine Terminator versus Goku from Dragon Ball Z. And I tell you that Terminators are nearly invincible. They don't back down to anything, and almost nothing can survive the onslaught of a Terminator. You're trying to explain to me how Goku can blow up planets like it was nothing, and I tell you, you don't seem to understand. Terminators are basically invincible. Sounds a little whack, right? But let me read you something directly from the Space Marine Codex. Terminators are truly amongst the greatest heroes of mankind. Bold warriors in whom the indefatigable heroism of a space marine is combined with the terrible weaponry and indomitable mass of tactical dreadnought armor. No foe is safe from a Terminator assault. Not a horde of orcs, nor a tyrannid biomonstrosity, or a chaos titan. Terminators are nearly invincible, unstoppable, and they never yield.
All right,
now
pause.
For buttermilk.
Yep.
Okay, so firstly, nobody is actually making the argument Gamza's making right now. Nobody has ever in the history of the universe made this argument, right? This is completely something he's making up a guy to get mad about, right? That's the first thing. Secondly, this statement is obviously in a certain context, right? In the context of a battle taking place on the battlefields of Warhammer 40k. And in that context, this statement is fine. Like, they are nearly invincible. They're incredibly tough to kill if you're an orc or a tyrannid biomonstrosity or whatever. You know, like... So the statement isn't actually hyperbole in that case. But yes, it becomes hyperbolous or ridiculous when you apply it to somebody like a Goku, which again, like, nobody is. Like, nobody is doing this.
Yeah, like... It's like one of those things, like, if I was like, you know what, people who drive, they just, like, ram into everybody, and it's like, who's doing that? You know, who's, like, ramming their car into everybody, and it's like, at best, there's, like, maybe one person who ever did that ever, like, being generous, you know?
Yeah.
Like, no one worth their salt is arguing this. Like, I don't...
It's just a he's characterizing people in this certain way.
Yeah.
Because it makes his argument look better. But if somebody was like, look, use this statement to say, look, this is the kind of things that Terminators fight, and that's why I think they would beat Master Chief, right? It would be completely different, right? I'm sure that argument is far more reasonable. I mean, it's not the argument I would make, obviously, but yeah, nobody is like doing this like extreme exaggeration of the text, and nor is like this reading somehow the literal reading. Like, you're not reading the statement literally. You're taking the statement to a specific place to make it seem ridiculous. Completely different from any number of other scaling statements that exist.
It's like you read like the last part of it, got the feel for what you think it should be about, and then read it with that like interpretation in mind.
Yeah, you basically didn't. You ignored the statement in full. Super chat from JMD saying, should the lion be the next Primarch to come back? It would be cool.
Yeah, but I think Chaos has enough Primarchs. So.
Shut up.
I want to respond to the chat message under that.
Okay.
Trajan Valaris is the chief or captain general of the Custodies. They don't have he is right now, but Constantine Valdor was the first one. And I'm not saying he's like literally a Primarch. He's just on that tier of power.
Yeah. Constantine Valdor is crazy strong. Like.
Yeah, it'd be really weird not to include him among there. Like, they even gave him like a novel in that same way.
You're right though. If you want to be technical, he's probably not a Primarch, but you could include him. I think was the point.
Yeah. I'll start again, or do you have something else?
Yeah, let's continue. Right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Look, Bob, that's some of the most poetic lore they have ever read. For Commissar Gamza, that's some interesting marketing. Now, who am I to say that this is marketing and to dismiss this as simply hyperbole? I'll tell you why. It's 2 points.
It's not hyperbole in context.
The entire point of a codex is to tell you that your army is epic, your army is cool, and to get you to buy more models. Why on earth would you read this? Let's talk about the truth here.
Is it to get you to buy more models? Like, why does it have to be that?
Mankind.
Why can't it just be cool?
Heavily armored, but gene stealers turn them into, ribbons very quickly. They just slice them apart like it was nothing. Would you want to buy Terminators at that point? Of course
pause.
not. However,
Pause,
that's exactly what happened.
I'm pausing.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned gene stealers and Terminators, because it's almost like there was this really popular game called Space Hulk where that happened and people loved it.
Yeah, like, people played that a lot.
It's to the point where the most recent edition of Space Hulk, like, the models are so good in it and stuff like that people will like sell it for like hundreds of dollars. Well, that's like one model at Games Workshop, but you get the point. People love the models in the game. They love the rules. Like, there's games of Space Hulk, which actually aren't that bad. The old ones are pretty good. You can play them on the Internet Archive for free. They're abandonware. Go check them out.
Space Hulk.
I don't know. Yeah, there's like no real point.
And by the way, the description for the Gene Stealers is going to be similar. Like, it's going to say that they're really strong and can tear things apart like easily, right? Like,
yeah. That's
not a problem. That's okay. Like, Terminators are really hard to kill. Gene Stealers are just really good at killing things.
Yeah, it's like, and like what they'll describe with the Gene Stealers, especially because of Space Hulk, is they'll say, oh, they can like cut through Terminator armor, and what does that rely on? It relies on you thinking Terminators are strong.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody asked, somebody said something, Sniper King said Emperor can't solo DC, he's not stronger than, like, Doomsday. The Emperor's erasure would kill Doomsday, I'm just going to say that right now. It would kill him. He would be erased. That's just the physical Emperor, though. The Warp Emperor, is, like, stronger than most everything in DC. Just because of what the Warp is, how big the Warp is. I mean, go watch my video where I talk about that. Yeah. Alright. Let's continue. Even though this video is not good, but, 3, 2, 1, go.
In the stories, when you open up a book and you start reading stories about Terminators, they might, on their introduction, it's kind of like the hero's entrance, they might prove to be, really strong, or they blast a bunch of enemies apart, and then as the story goes along,
that's a part of the
run into
story.
some Gene Stealers, and they're just sliced apart like it was nothing. And once I read stories like this, that's how I'm able to tell that this is written in hyperbole, that this is never really
it's not hyperbole. Gene Stealers are just that strong.
Seen as these basically invincible type warriors that nothing can stop their onslaught and they yield to nothing, and that they're indomitable. So if I say that no, Goku would incinerate an entire chapter's worth of Terminators in a blink of an eye because he can blow up planets like it was nothing, is that me saying that Terminators are useless and weak? Of course not. It's just saying that the threat that they're currently up against is far above them. And no, they are not nearly invincible. Okay, so for my last point,
they are in the context of the statement.
Controversial part. That is echo chambers and
not in every context.
Get along. I have noticed that amongst
this echo chamber thing is so ironic. There's no bigger echo chamber than Gamza's server.
A lot of going along to get along. This is, you don't want to poke the bee nest. If everybody kind of agrees that Warhammer 40k is the most overpowered sci-fi universe in existence and that nothing can really beat it and that it always wins, a lot of people will harp up on that. They want to play along with that because they're looking to be accepted. They don't want to be rejected from a group. Now, I shouldn't have to say this, but I'm going to say it
from
anyways
a group?
because we all
if
know
somebody would reject you from a group, let's pause.
Not saying that just
pause. If somebody would reject you from a group for like your opinions about something, you shouldn't be friends with them anyway, right? That's not you shouldn't want to be around those people anyway. Somebody thinking 40k is weak or whatever, like who cares? Like it's not a big deal if somebody thinks that in my friend group. But if somebody is, attacking my position that is well researched, that I have good reason to believe, that I spent a lot of time researching, which I had fun doing, by the way, that's a completely different situation. Like, if people are making these certain arguments, the asshole is you, Gamza, not the person making the argument, right? The asshole is you.
Like, this whole video reads like it's like that one meme where it's the guy at the corner of the party, and that guy is like,
right.
He's like, I bet these guys don't know that 40k is actually fodder.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't know that. And it's like, I don't know who, Gamza, who hurt you?
Yeah, I don't go down my local game store and like get into arguments with strangers about why 40k is so strong or weak or whatever. Like, this just doesn't happen. We just shoot the shit and have a good time, like play a couple games or whatever, there's nothing like this.
Like what I think you want to happen is that like there's like this crowd or something of people who like just get mad at each other, but that just doesn't happen in like the actual sense of the game. What instead happens is that someone drops like a 10-minute video of pure cope and then people respond to it and you get butthurt about it.
Yeah. Well, he's very angry about people think. See, it's funny because this video is making it sound like he doesn't have a big problem with thinking 40k is strong, but he does. He has a huge problem with it because he gets really mad about it and talks about it all the time. To the point where, like, he won't even, it's just a gut reaction, right? He doesn't do any research or anything. It's not like a reason-based thing.
He mentioned, like, in the last video, well, in this video, he mentioned, like, one quote, and we'll say, like, an instance, right? And in the last video, he mentioned, like, another lore instance, maybe. Yeah, so giving him, like, the benefit of the doubt, let's say there's, like, 6 actual things he's brought up in this video. In comparison to, like, either one of the videos that Parrot has made, where there's, like, 40-plus quotes. It's just absurd.
There's more stuff, there's more references in that one warp video than in all of Gamza's videos together, I bet.
Probably, yeah.
Right, let's watch the rest of this video. 3, 2, 1, go.
Because a YouTube channel out there disagrees with me that therefore it's somehow part of this echo chamber that is just going along to get along. That's not what I'm saying. There are signs that you can tell if you're dealing with this type of channel or not. It isn't 100% proof, but it's simply evidence.
Yeah,
and that is this.
The proof is that if they don't use any sources.
Warhammer 40k, and they tend to hype up everything that is released from them. From animations, to models, to comics, to books.
What's wrong with Warhammer Adventures? It's good.
Never
it's good.
Has to do. They always want to play up Warhammer like this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Oh yeah.
I don't even do Warhammer videos, but Warhammer Adventures is good.
Don't want to provoke any backlash, and
you just don't like that people like it.
Why you're running a YouTube channel, you're making money from it, and you don't want to turn off your audience that you've currently built up. Gamza just has a bit of a different philosophy, and that is, I'm going to give you the truth to the best of my ability.
No,
you see,
no, you do the same thing, Gamza. You do exactly the same thing.
Gamza is actually his best friend, because Gamza is the man who's always respected him enough to tell him the truth. If I was a fake person and all I cared about was somebody's acceptance, then I would stroke your ego. I would lie to you. I would stretch to truth.
But you are stroking the ego of people that agree with you.
See, I'm the friend.
It's not like you present arguments.
Which means I'm your real friend.
You don't present any arguments,
Gamza.
Gamza.
Get along and hold hands. Oh yeah. Okay. Anyways, I'm just saying here is that be on the lookout for things like this, because I've always seen it as a level of deception.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna watch the rest of this video. It's just you can tell immediately how much of a grifter Gamza is just by looking at his upload schedule. Look at like how many videos has he done on resin 3D printing in the last month or whatever? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like what? 7?
Yeah, like
this is not the I'm just trying to be truthful to you guys. I'm just so good. I just tell the truth. I'm not interested in making money. No, you are interested in making money, Gamza, because you're doing the thing that YouTubers do when they want to make a lot of money. Okay? And your audience agrees with you. They also think that Warhammer is trash or whatever because they don't read anything and they're not interested in people actually bringing up sources and talking about the actual lore. And that's why they watch you. So no, you're not doing anything different from these channels or these people making these arguments that you're so willing to criticize.
Like, if Gamza's boogeyman is the person who really likes Games Workshop and hypes everything up, then Gamza himself is the person who apparently just hates everything Games Workshop does.
Yeah,
like,
which is fine. You can be very critical of Games Workshop if you want, but don't pretend you're not grifting. You're grifting, Gamza. You're absolutely grifting. You're not putting in the work to make hard, researched, scripted videos. You just talk at a camera about nothing, about not having read anything. You just say whatever you want.
It's just like absurd that like I don't like understand how you can put out this many videos about like the lore or anything like that and you just don't read it. Like I think there should be like a tinge of shame there, honestly.
Parrot feels like he's being attacked. I was attacked. He did a video on me.
Yeah. he dropped a 9-minute 40-second video of pure cope trying to dismiss 40 sources.
Yeah,
that's an attack.
He did attack me. Let's just get that out of the way. But I'm only annoyed because of the hypocrisy, really. Like, the hypocrisy and the fact that he clearly has a vested interest in making money by continuing to let people believe that his style of doing no research makes sense, right? That's why he's so mad about my video. Because it would mean that in the future, he'd have to actually do research, and he doesn't do any right now.
Yeah. It's not just that. It's like the fact that I feel like Gamza knows that once it's out of the bag, he's in trouble. Not just from the research perspective, but when people are like, wait, isn't the warp like outer? He now has to deal with that because he doesn't actually have an answer to it. Like, within the video he made about the Emperor, there is no 14 other sources about the warp. There is nothing like that.
Just deconstruct his argument. I mean, I did that already, but now I'm criticizing his character because he's an asshole. So he's an asshole that's exploiting people's gullibility. So.
I'd like to respond to one of the comments in the chat.
Yeah.
He showed clear bias to me, at least, especially with the warp thing. I don't. I'm trying to put this. I don't think Gamza's read enough to be biased.
Yeah. I mean, he has a bias, but it's not like he's reading things through a certain lens, because he just doesn't read them at all.
Yeah. I totally didn't read that comment differently, and I just had to make a different explanation.
Oh, you thought he was talking about us?
Yeah, that's what I thought at first, and I reread it. I'm like, wait a minute.
Everybody has a bias, by the way. Everybody has a bias.
Yeah.
But hopefully your bias is like an experience with reading the material.
Or you work to set that bias aside, or try to outweigh it or something.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can't get rid of bias. Like, it's just a fact. Like, it's just the thing.
Yeah.
But that's okay. It's good that that's a thing because it means we can come to different perspectives on things. If there was no bias, that would be impossible.
Yeah.
Oh, he has a really bad video where he says like Broly could fight Korn. It's so funny. Yeah. Like even if you think Korn isn't strong, like Korn is the concept of anger and violence. Like you can't go and punch him or whatever. It's an idea.
Yeah, I don't understand the logic behind a lot of his videos, honestly. Like even from like a perspective of like, well, it's always hard to get the perspective of knowing nothing, but
yeah,
it's always like he has this idea in his head, and then he wants to make the video. Like, I think it's clear that Gamza needs the people who like think Warhammer is really strong to exist to watch his videos out of anger or whatever.
In a weird paradoxical way, yeah.
Yeah, like, because like if everybody was like actually Warhammer's fodder, then everybody's not gonna watch your videos, and then you become the echo chamber because you're not presenting any new ideas. Like, if Gamza's right, he's his own worst enemy. So.
As it goes, right?
Yeah.
Is there any last thing we want to cover or talk about? Maybe future ideas we'd have for videos, like maybe a Sigmar video could be interesting, although the research on that would be an ass.
Yeah, don't let PJ know you said that. I hope he's not watching.
Oh, I was going to say this earlier, but this is a really, like, Sigmar is way stronger than the Chaos Gods, and he still can't kill them, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just punch them.
The whole narrative of, like, chaos in general is that it's inevitable. Even the people who are stronger than them are like, look, even if we do something, they'll just come back. Like, not in the sense of, like, you like, kill the zombie and then the zombie walks back up, but it's, like, it more like Doctor Strange when he, like, uses the time stone, almost. Like, they'll just come back.
I mean, there's other things too, like punching the concept of violence only makes the concepts of violence stronger. You know, trying to kill the concept of death, Nurgle, only makes the concept of death stronger. Trying to change the concept of change only makes the concept of change stronger, right? It's not, you can't just like fight them normally.
Oh God, PJ is.
What's this PJ? PJ sent $5 and he said, Gamza is just really weird. He stands the fact that all grimdark, all demon cult, that word. Like if the verse was constantly dark, it would be boring. Yeah, which it isn't anyway. But I'm not really sure what like you're saying, PJ.
I think he means like if 40K was just all grimdark all the time, it would just be the same shit over and over again, and so it'd be really boring.
Okay, yeah, I 100% agree. Yeah, and it's not
like
that.
Like, one of the best novels I've read recently was The Infinite and Divine, which is just a comedy with Trazian in it. It's great.
Trazian is so good. I love that. I love that boy. Parrot, have you seen the video of that guy that debunked your Spawn vs. Superman video? Yeah, I did, and I actually recorded a response to it with myself and Noodles, who's a friend of mine who helped me with the Spawn video. And yeah, the guy in that video, Farcam4 Gaming, he seems fine. Like, he seems like a cool dude, and some of his videos are cool, but he lied a lot in that video. To the point of like just showing fake, like misrepresented scans and stuff. The only reason that reaction hasn't gone up is because Noodles is editing it, and Noodles is Noodles. So
yeah,
it's
the only person slower than Seraphone is Noodles. So
yeah, they're competing for slowness on bringing out videos.
Yeah.
Not that I'm much to talk. I haven't done a video in a month. But university started, so
yeah.
Pre-Heresy Imperium rocks up on Star Wars. Oh God.
I don't want to speak for Parrot, but I find the like civilizations, like armies versus each other, really boring to talk about.
I think it can be interesting. I just don't want to upset the Star Wars fans, but generally the big problem, and I'm not an expert on Star Wars, so bear that in mind, especially like what their ships can do and stuff, but my understanding is that basic things like battle cruisers, not even battle cruisers, right? What's the Space Marine ship?
Star Destroyers?
No, that's the Star Wars one I'm talking about. In 40k, the Space Marine
battle barges.
Battle barges. Like a normal battle barge can can do exterminatus with their cannons, right? Which is like huge amount, like multi-continental levels of force. And I don't think the Star Wars spaceships have anything on this level. They usually have like megaton statements and stuff. Like they can't just destroy entire planet surfaces with their regular guns in like an hour. That seems to be the big problem. Also, it depends. There's more problems too. Star Wars has lanes they have to travel through for FTL, and if they go outside of those lanes, it's very hard for them. And then, like, obviously 40k has the warp travel, which is like has all its own problems and stuff. So it depends.
My issue with the like armies versus is that it ends like for the most part they end up being a lot of like, oh, like, well, these people are like humans and they don't actually Jesus Christ, they don't actually like talk about feats or anything. So it becomes like a more armchair discussion. I'm just not interested.
Yeah. Where does the Catan stand compared to the Chaos Gods? Generally, I think they're much weaker. The Chaos Gods are like the strongest warp entities that have ever existed before. They're like so powerful that the warp is like bulging because they're so strong. And if any one of them gained ever won the great game, all of existence would just be destroyed. The warp would be completely destroyed because they'd be too powerful for it. But the Catan are close. Like the Nightbringer did very good against Kane. So, and Kane was like capable of fighting Slaanesh and stuff. So it's close. They're not much weaker, but they are weaker than the Chaos Gods.
The main advantage the Catan have is that they're like embodiments of concepts within the physical universe.
Yeah.
They're like fundamental aspects, and there's also like the veil that's protecting them as well. The veil that separates the materium from the warp. It's like the equivalent of like if you saw a really angry dog behind like a glass door. Like, sure, the dog might not walk out there and get you, but you're not exactly stopping it either.
But yeah, the Eldar gods are really strong too. They're still not as strong as the big four are right now, but they're similar. They're of that scale, for sure.
Yeah.
Heard Kane was weakened when he fought Slaanesh. Yes, he was.
Yeah.
He was weakened.
Yeah, he was tired. Not only was he was tired, but Slaanesh had absorbed every other god at that point, besides Kane and Chigorach.
Although, to be fair, like a lot of those other gods were probably stronger than Kane anyway. A few of them were probably stronger than Kane. And Slaanesh just gulped them instantly.
Yeah. The argument between Kane and Asuran is definitely a debate, but
yeah,
they should be relative.
Asuran, like the head of the Eldar god pantheon, that is.
Yeah.
Do I think if the Golden Throne fails, the Emperor becomes a chaos god to humanity like Slaanesh to the Eldar? I think he already is. I think he already is like a warp god. But
yeah,
he could become strong. I don't know. It would be headcanon, right? Like, I don't really know. My idea is that he would become stronger. Terra would be destroyed, right, because of the warp storm there. Maybe the whole universe would end even. But yeah, he would be reborn a lot stronger than he was before. But that's complete headcanon. That's not based on anything.
Yeah. Isn't there one Eldar god? Nurgle keeps as Isha. She's the goddess of life.
Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes they're portrayed as like having a good relationship, and other times they're not.
Yeah, I mean,
I like to think that they are an actual couple, but
it's kind of weird to be married to like a concept.
Yeah, they're like both concepts, so
They need to bring back the Void Dragon. They did. He got a model. Go buy it, I guess. I don't know.
He's still chilling.
Yeah.
Anything beyond Iniad's Void? Not as far as we know.
Not in 40k at least, no.
Yeah. There might be stuff in fantasy, but even then, like, there isn't a direct connection, right? We would just be... It could be a different Void, or... I
don't like the way you said that, but yeah, they're like... Okay. Yeah, it's not like there's if you imagine like cosmologies as like a staircase, right? Ennead's void is like not at the top, but it's like on a step, and then at like a separate staircase, there's things that are above it.
Yeah. Yeah, it wouldn't actually. Yeah, that's what I meant. Like when he said beyond, I was interpreting that as like part of the same cosmology.
Well, I don't like the way she said that.
Like as in directly transcendent of.
Yeah, they're like two separate decks of cards, with one just being a lot bigger.
Yeah.
They don't like shuffle together like that.
Ennead is irrelevant? What?
The problem that Ennead has at the moment from a outerverse perspective is that the books talking about the Ynnari didn't do too well sales-wise, so we don't get to hear about it that much.
Yeah.
Before that, Ennead was set up as like an end-of-setting thing. So when he did... So he, it, she, trans dual.
Yeah.
When
it's
Ennead was actually...
opposite, so.
Yeah. When Ennead was actually like fulfilled in Death Mask and into Gathering Storm, they had to do some stuff with him, like putting him in the void and stuff like that. But then now we don't know what Ennead's actually up to.
If Eldrad hadn't been interrupted, Ennead would have eaten the entire warp. Like, it's a big deal. It obviously didn't go that way, but yeah. Ennead is a very big deal for the Eldar. Their only hope, really.
Yeah. I'm going to grab a glass of water momentarily.
All right. Actually, unless there's any more super chats people want to do, we'll probably wrap things up here. If Big E wakes up to find his Imperium in ruins, what does he do with the Inquisition? I don't know. I'm sure he would be mad, but he's seen a lot of things over his life. The only time he ever thought something was like irredeemable was with Horus, right? Like I think there's a statement that it's the only time he's felt like that. Could you theoretically seal away all chaos with enough Necron pylons? That's a what if ending for Battlefleet Gothic 2. That like the universe gets sealed away from chaos, but the warp is still out there. It's just not connected to the universe anymore. So, maybe, I don't know. It's hard to say. Like it doesn't seem to affect the warp itself. It just keeps the warp out.
Are you talking about the Veil, sir?
Necron pylons. Necron pylons.
Oh yeah, it repels the warp and makes the Veil like a sheet of glass.
Yeah.
That's all they really do.
PJ asks, favorite Primarch? My favorite Primarch is Perturabo. I don't know what Hashi's is. It could be anything. Hashi's favorite could be any Primarch. You know.
Yeah.
Good luck guessing.
Yeah, honestly. PJ, if you want an answer, I'll send you my Steam and you can buy me Repentance yourself.
Oh, shut the hell up. His favorite is Alfarius, of course. Don't be grifting.
PJ would tell me a bunch of rude words and then do nothing.
Honestly.
Out of curiosity, what do you think Prime and Old Ones stack up against the Warp Gods? The Old Ones have some really impressive niche stuff to talk about. The problem is they apparently just weren't good at using it, so it becomes like a really like thing that you have to just like deal with when you're interpreting what they can actually do.
The Old Ones individually aren't that strong. Eldrad killed an Old One.
Yeah.
They're much weaker than the Chaos Gods. They're not warp entities in the same way that Chaos is.
They do have some tools that are very impressive, though. That's the issue.
Yeah. We don't, as far as we know right now, they're not that impressive, but they're like hyped up to have really good, I won't say tech, but you know, like warp tech or whatever.
It's more, it's just the enunciate. There's just one really good quote for it. That's the problem.
A lot of people ask me about how strong I think Marvel is. It's infinitely high into outerversal, as the best arguments I have, at least.
Yeah, the problem you're going to have with Marvel is that you're always going to struggle to find that second outerversal transcendence. You're never going to, well, not never, but you're going to have trouble actually stacking them together.
Yeah. Sniper King has sent a super chat. Thank you very much. He says, low key would love an Elder Scrolls Daedric Prince power scaling vid. Love your vids. Thanks a bunch. I might do one on like all the Daedric Princes. That could be a full video, because I think just doing it on one, it wouldn't be enough content. You know, it would feel like a bad video to me. But maybe that would be a good one. Devol, whatever. I'm sorry, I don't know which it is. I think Devol sounds cooler, so I've been saying it that way. It says, my headcanon is that the Emperor spent the first few thousand years fixing the human webway. Then he ascended to a new type of godhood using it. After that, the Burning Legion started appearing. Maybe. Sorry, go.
Oh yeah, there's a quote in Fury of Magnus that implies it would take Magnus and the Emperor to actually fix the Imperial webway.
Yeah, it's not done yet.
Yeah, it's not even that it wasn't done. It was like ruptured. That's like the big issue.
Yeah. He also didn't make it. He just, well, he made bits of it, but you know, it was made by the old ones in the Eldar.
Yeah, but what the Emperor ends up having on Terra now is just like a warp rift he has to like permanently keep shut. Or try to keep shut, rather. It's not like actually shut.
Yeah. I also think, like, for the first, I don't know, maybe 1,000 years is too much, but, like, when he first came around, I think the Emperor was, like, just, like, they say he's, like, Conan the Barbarian, right? Like, he was just a guy who, like, beat people up and stuff. He was just a regular guy from that time period, and it was his long age that made him such a unique person over time.
Yeah.
What do I think of the Kent relationship? You mean Jonathan Kent being gay or bi? I think it's great. I mean, like, I'm a bi content creator as well, so I love to see that stuff. I thought it was very touching, and I also think the guy that wrote it, Tom Taylor, does a lot of really good stuff. Like, he did...
he did Super Sons, right?
Yes, he did. I think he did Super Sons. I always confuse him with the other Tom, the other writer, so...
Oh, yeah.
But I know he did Injustice Volume 2, which is a phenomenal comic with Constantine in it. So good. It's the one where Constantine, like, asks Trigon for a light. Really good. And he did, like, the Dead Planet stuff as well. Like, he's a really good writer.
Yeah. Injustice is just doing really well in general. People love it.
Dimensional Shade, you're asking, I'm still on the part where Birdman said Shaw lost to Alduin. Maybe misread or misheard, but didn't it say he fought him off? What happens is that Shaw's ghost is there, and then a ghost of Alduin is summoned to fight him, and Shaw's ghost beats Alduin's ghost, but it says in the same quote that in the past they fought before and Alduin won. So it was just because they were both being summoned by somebody else, and it was like a phantom of them or whatever. So the actual statement isn't like the important part of what I was showing. It's that they say that this has happened before. It's notable that this time Shaw wins, and before he didn't. And in that particular fight, they were both in like a different state of like a phantom weird thing going on. Not their true form.
Year 3 is Constantine, year 2 is Sinestro.
Oh, is it? Either way, whichever one. I've read the Sinestro one too, but anyway, all those first. I haven't read all the Injustice books, but all the way up to the Trigon vs. Mixty fight is what I've read, and it was all very good. I thought it was volume 2, but maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it was all by Tom Taylor. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
But he's also writing that the Superman comic line. And that comic was completely sold out before it even released. By the way, it was a huge success. So all the people saying like, "Oh, this is why comics are failing," don't know what they're talking about. Firstly, because comics aren't failing, and secondly, because it was a huge marketing success to have Jonathan Kent be gay. So. Okay then.
Have you read the Alduin Akatosh Dichotomy book.
What's the actual title of it? I probably have, but I don't recognize then what you just said.
That Akatosh is Alduin, but also Alduin's dad or something. So he's referring to an event, I think.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with what you just said. Alduin is still stronger, though. If Kaldor Drago pops out. I honestly like Kaldor Drago.
Yeah, it's fine. What's up with 5th Chaos God? You mean Nuffle? Or like the Great Horned Rat?
Yeah, there's a lot more than 5.
Yeah.
At least in the whole scope of the setting. How much of the warp could Alduin eat? All of it. All of it. Easily. The wheel. One wheel. Nah, not one wheel. The whole of the Orbis is about the same size as the warp, probably. It's a little bit bigger. And that's what Alduin eats. So...
How does Nuffle? Nuffle can like power null all 4 of them at the same time, very casually. That's how like games of Blood Bowl can even happen.
Goddamn Blood Bowl lore.
There are books about Blood Bowl now.
I haven't read any of them, but
I can't.
I do love me some Blood Bowl. At least on the like Cyanide games one.
Yeah.
I have not played like physical Blood Bowl. I played it once, actually, that's not true, but it wasn't with my models.
I played it once physically too.
Malice, don't ask me about Malice. Don't ask me to answer questions about Malice. Like, what? Talk about convoluted lore. I would have to like specifically read about him.
Is it Akatosh, Ariel, and Alduin are basically references to Hinduism?
Nah, it's... Most of Elder Scrolls is references to this mysticism stuff. Crowley. Aleister Crowley is where a lot of it comes from. It could be a reference to Hinduism too, though.
Kirkbride was kind of high when he wrote most of it.
Nah, that's a myth. That's not true. People joke about him taking LSD, but it's not true. Have you seen Dune? I haven't seen the new one. I watched the 1984 one, and I've read all the books.
Dice God goated, yeah, honestly.
A Space Marine versus Captain America? Not fair. Captain America's been in publication for, what, since the 40s? Definitely Captain America. Yeah. Way more feats.
Yeah, you're gonna, like, you have to, like, try to, like, lowball Captain America.
Yeah,
like,
I could probably make a Space Marine win, but I wouldn't be happy about it.
Yeah. Because it's like, oh, are you gonna say, like, Captain's just, like, vaguely above peak human? Then you gotta throw out, like, so many feats. Like...
Yeah. I would say Captain America.
If it's a named Space Marine, it probably wins. Yeah.
Depends who. Depends who.
Yeah. But... most time when they have names, they get good feats. So that's like the issue.
Am I going to do Toho Project power scaling? It's not in my future at the moment. Don't know anything about Toho. Not a fan of the series or anything. Don't know. Yeah. Just don't. Yeah, don't consume that media. Will I scale Umineko? No. No.
No.
It's too hard to explain in a video. That's the problem. It's too hard to do the type of video I do. I wouldn't be able to prove a lot of stuff because it's like, yeah, it's a Umineko is a really awesome series that has a type of storytelling I've never seen before that makes it very hard to talk about in a video. How strong is Shaw compared to the other Asia and Daedra? Shaw or Lorcan is one of the strongest, maybe even the strongest, other than... He's weaker than Magnus and Trinimac, for sure. Maybe weaker than Akatosh. But yeah, he's one of the top ones. Any idea on the next live stream? No clue. No clue. I should do more of them, though. Definitely.
Yeah.
We're going to go until 10 minutes past, and then I'm going to stop the stream, okay? Because otherwise we'll be here forever.
Yeah, I'm hungry.
Johnny Blaze scaling? I haven't read his comics that much. Upside Down Man scaling video, please. Maybe I feel like it's too specific. I would rather do a video on the Great Darkness and include the Upside Down Man in the video. Because he's a part of that, right? Do I think Feathering can beat Lucifer from DC? Definitely. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
You're going to be very hard-pressed to argue anybody in DC is that strong.
Yeah. I don't think anyone in DC is as strong as Feathering.
Yeah. Have you heard of Sugsverse? Yeah, I think everybody has at this point.
I've read most of the Sugsverse stuff. Well, actually, I suppose I don't really know what most of it is these days, but I read a lot of it at the time. It's really bad. It's not worth reading, and it's not worth scaling either. It's not strong really. It's just keywords thrown around a lot, you know. The Dominus video, I want to do a Dominus video. Dominus is cool. He's one of my favorite characters. One of my favorite villains, at least.
He was in Scribblenauts too, which is the best part.
Yeah, I can't believe the Scribblenauts DC expansion is so good. Like, why do they have so much stuff in it? Like, they've got really obscure characters in there. They
have Mageddon. They have Dominus.
Mageddon and Dominus.
Baitor.
Baitor, yeah.
They have Baitor, yeah.
I mean, Baitor's less obscure than Mageddon, though. Mageddon was only in 4 issues. Arguably 4 issues.
Yeah.
Where would I scale Monarch from DC? I would have to do a video on it. Too complex. Too complex for an answer right now. I would need to, like, you know, organize my thoughts.
God, reading Captain Atom comics would suck, too. Halloween special Cthulhu? Well, I mean, a Cthulhu video I don't think done in, like, 2 days.
Yeah, I don't have time. I've been doing recently. I've read all the H.P. Lovecraft stuff loads of times before, but there was a person who was in his circle that was friends with him that used to write stories in each other's universes called Clark Ashton Smith. I think he's a better writer than H.P. Lovecraft, and I'm reading all of his books at the moment to try and do a full, really big, mega Cthulhu-verse like video.
Yeah, I think the only Cthulhu video you could get from Parrot in like 2 days is like Smite Cthulhu.
Ew. Not doing that. Upside Down Man versus Lucifer Morningstar. Lucifer might be able to win with like prep, like not prep, but like coming out with a plan. But the Upside Down Man is more powerful. Like he's as strong as the Great Darkness, who a tiny fraction of which was equal to the Presence.
Mandrake and Mageddon in the same game. Yeah, it's a great game. Like honestly,
it was really good. I was very impressed by the Scribblenauts DC stuff.
Yeah, whoever made it was clearly an actual fan of DC.
Yeah. Sanguine, the Daedric Prince. I have no idea. I think he's one of the weaker. He's one of the minor Daedric Princes, right? He's still a Daedric Prince, so he's still strong, but I'm pretty sure he's one of the weakest Daedric Princes. He might have some unique powers. I'm not aware of anything. Yeah, I'm not sure. I would have to read some stuff. Give us some DC versus DBZ stuff. People would be really mad about that.
Yeah, it's hard to say why without making the people mad.
Yeah, it's not fair. Yeah, it's not fair. DC stuff they have more writers. It's been around longer. They have more of a cosmology. Yeah, nah. I'd have to pick like Booster Gold or something, and Booster Gold would probably still beat a lot of the DBZ characters.
Yeah, I don't see him like breaking the shield that only Trigon and Doomsday could break or anything like that.
Yeah. Facts. Do I think the Necron at full strength could take out the Marvel/DC galaxy? Yeah.
I think people in DC would have a problem with the Catan.
Yeah, the Catan is the only thing that matters there, yeah.
Yeah.
The actual Necrons don't mean anything.
Like, your best argument would be that, like, Superman like somehow destroys the Catan and like mantles the concept or something like that. That's what you have to like argue effectively.
Yeah, I mean, like there are the heroes and stuff. Like Superman would, yeah, it would be close. The Catan like fighting some of the cosmic entities and stuff would be close.
Yeah.
Do I watch Isaac Arthur? I do. Isaac Arthur does amazing videos. There are like three. Yeah. There are 3 YouTube channels I will actually praise, and like Isaac Arthur is one of them. He does great videos.
This one. DBZ scaling is the most overrated. No, I actually think Dragon Ball is weirdly downplayed a lot of the time.
It depends. I think what it's just so over talked about. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, I do see this like effect that happens in the community though, that when people come in, they think Dragon Ball is really cool and like good, and then people who've been in the community kind of like rag on them for it. But it's like I don't think Dragon Ball's bad. I think it's pretty good, you know. Like it's just kind of oversaturated.
All right, we're gonna call the stream here. Thank you all for showing up. Thank you for all the super chats as well. They really weren't necessary. Like nobody's obligated to do anything like that, but it helps a lot since I'm at university right now. I can definitely use it, and I hope you all enjoyed sort of the chilling out and some of the responses. I'll try to do more live streams in the future because I thought that this was fun, but yeah, I will see you then.